people, Deb. I come from the Okanagan and Lakes bands of the Colville Confederated Tribes, the Insulkchin and Snakes people. And I am very honored and happy to be here on behalf of the Native Wellness Institute to talk about self-care. Woohoo! Liam Lemch.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And we also are joined by our amazing executive committee, Native youth from around the country who represent us so well on the ground, the grassroots organizers. I will hand it off to Madam or Mr. Co-President. Would you guys like to go first? Introduce yourselves.
I'll go. Manhu everyone, Ananyane Caitlin Johnston, Numanu Pahubwe Nukimaru. Hello everyone, my name is Caitlin Johnston. I just go by Katie, but I'm from where the water flows in Bishop, California. I currently reside in Costa Mesa, California, right next to the beach. I am the current female co-president for Unity, and I'm just very honored to be here, as this is a very touchy subject for me, because my brother actually just passed away from suicide. So if it's a little hard for me, I really do apologize, but this is really hard for me just to be on this call. But I'm really glad to be here because this is so important to me, and I just want to spread more awareness about this subject, and hope for the best of everyone, and hope everyone is doing well. I'm very honored to be here. Thank you.
Ay squatchy siap mshchaita like sna Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jonathan Arakawa, an enrolled member of the Lower Elwha Column tribe in Washington State. I'm honored to serve as the male co-president on the National Unity Council Executive Committee, and thankful for each and every one that's here on this webinar. This is a very important discussion and important for all of us to spread this awareness. So I'm thankful to our partners that are on this webinar today to help spread messages of hope. So partners, and thank you. I'll pass it to our next EC member that I see on our list. Representative Countryman.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maisie Countryman. I'm from Pocatello, Idaho. I am the Northwest representative, and I currently am attending at Idaho State University, studying pre-pharmacy and minoring in Native American Studies. I would just like to say I'm very grateful to be on here, as this is a very touchy subject for most, including myself, for losing friends that have been impacted by this. And yeah, I'm just very excited to be on here. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other? We have a couple of more EC members. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
I can go. Hello, everybody. My name is Marla Messerina. I'm from the Leash Lake Band of Ojibwe in Minnesota, and I'm the Midwest Regional Representative on the EC, and I'm just so happy to be here, and I'm just so excited to see what our youth will accomplish with this. So.
I'll go next. Good afternoon. My name is Jalen Harvey. I come from the Navajo, Acoma Pueblo, and Hopi tribes. I am with the National Unity Council Executive Committee, where I hold the position of Western Region Representative and Secretary. I'm really grateful to be here, and it's a big subject that really needs awareness, and I'm really glad to kind of educate myself on this subject as well. So thank you all for being here with us, and have a great rest of your day.
Representative Jackson.
Good afternoon, everybody. I apologize. I almost said good morning. It's the morning time where I'm at. My name is Seneca Jackson. I am also on the National Executive Committee for Unity. I am the Pacific Regional Representative. I come from the Gila River Indian community. I am currently attending the University of Hawaii at Manoa. So currently just sitting somewhere on campus, but I'm so glad to be able to have the time to partake in this webinar. As it is a touchy subject, it's one that's very important that we all need to learn to become, make it more of a norm to have people feel comfortable to talk about it. This is an important topic, and just people near and dear losing, whether it be family, friends, or anyone else of that matter, to this unfortunate circumstance. I feel that I'm very honored to be here and be able to be in this safe space with all of you. And I just hope that you all take in this webinar. So, Sapo.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. So we're going to dive right into it. If you go to our next section, this is an awesome opportunity for us to gauge what we know currently and then what we are hoping to gain from the webinar. So I will pass it over to our female co-president, Katie.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know what happened to my screen. Let me figure this out real quick. Okay, there we go. I don't know why it went to that, but oh, where did the screen go? I know that I'm talking about what we're bringing today on the knowledge keepers. So it'll be a whiteboard activity. So everyone will all the participants will list what they know about suicide prevention for Native youth, and just list any of the knowledge that they have on this topic, because I know there's not a lot of information that people know, but what they do know about suicide prevention or awareness, we'll list that in the whiteboard if it could be brought up. And then I think with the whiteboard, you just add a little sticky note. So if you know anything, so what do we know about suicide prevention for Native youth? Or what do we, and then the middle one, the green one, will be, what do we wonder about suicide prevention for Native youth? Like, what do you want to know more? And then the last one, the blue one, will be, what did we learn today about? I think we might be doing that one last, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the first two we'll do right now. So you'll just type in the little sticky note, and then what do you know and what do you want to know, or what do you wonder about? Because there's a lot of things that we may not know, and so maybe today you can take something away, and then you can add it in the blue one at the end. So just type in the chat and I'll start reading them out. So I see what I know is it is prevent among Native youth. I know that it is okay to talk to someone openly about suicide. What I wonder how to talk to someone is talking, oh, sorry. How to talk to someone who is talking about suicide. That's something to wonder. How to help spread awareness. That's something to know. Prevention strategies. Okay. It is better to talk about it than be silent. That is very true. It happens with a lot of men, LGBTQ, and veterans. Okay, so we'll just give it a little minute to do that part.
Thank you so much, Katie. Can you explain what we're doing to some people that just jumped on?
Yeah, if you're just jumping on, we're doing a whiteboard activity and we're currently talking about what we know about suicide, what we wonder, and at the end we'll type in the blue one what you learned today. So in the little sticky notes, you just press on the sticky note and then you'll be able to type on there, and then it should be pretty easy. And there is more, so that there's programs to help prevent is what you know. What you know is that the numbers are growing in suicide. Leading risk factor for suicide is untreated major depressive disorder, a medical illness. Talking with someone about suicide will not plant the idea in their head or increase the chance of suicide. What you wonder, how to start talking / bringing awareness. I would like to see other tribes' success in prevention. How to help youth spread awareness. That is very good. Another what I wonder is it, oh, I don't know how to say that word though. Safe ways to share on social media, that's one to wonder. All right, good job. Thank you guys so much for sharing. One that you know is September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. That is very true. (988) is a resource to call, of course. All right, so if you guys want to just finish up with that one, and then I think we can move on to the next one. Thank you guys so much for sharing. And I think the next person sharing is, I think, Marla. Is it Marla? I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll just wait for the thing to come on. Okay. So I'll be talking about the safe and effective messaging prevention guidelines. And this is just to make sure that when we do bring, prevention to, or sorry, awareness about suicide prevention, that we're just doing it in the most safest way that we can. And so the framework for successful messaging is a resource to help people messaging about suicide to develop messages that are strategic, safe, positive, and make use of relevant guidelines and best practices. And it was created by the National Action Alliance for Suicide Prevention as part of its focus on changing the public conversation about suicide. And sorry, one second. So we have these 4 key elements that are important to use when you do bring awareness to suicide prevention, which are strategy, safety, positive, narrative, and guidelines. So Key number 1, strategy involves planning and focusing messages so that they are as effective as possible. And these can include integrating communications with other efforts, defining clear goals, understanding the audience, identifying a call to action, and providing resources for taking action. And then key number 2 is safety. So safety is avoiding content that is unsafe or undermines prevention. And then key number 3 is positive narrative, which means promoting the positive in some form. For example, by sharing resources, telling real stories of help seeking, giving support, coping, or resilience, describing action steps the audience can take, featuring program successes, new research, or how people are making a difference. And then key number 4 is guidelines, which guidelines means using any specific guidance or best practices that apply. So framework is one of the resources that we are giving to you guys. So use the framework and the resources as a guide when developing all of your public messaging, and use your voice to contribute to a positive narrative about suicide, one that emphasizes solutions and actions as opposed to describing the problem in unsolvable terms, and create a set of standards or policies to guide messaging across all of your efforts. For example, decide that as a matter of policy, you will not forward or repost news articles that include potentially unfair content. And then we'll move on to the do's, and that's, I'll be passing it on to Maisie Countryman.
Okay, so some do's for preventing suicide is to inspire hope, encourage. I feel like encourage is like one of the bigger ones, because if you're not encouraging when you're trying to help somebody, it's just not going to work. And encourage help seeking and providing information on finding help. So if you're wanting to find help, you're just wanting to make sure you trust like the people that you're going to want to talk to. And the next one is emphasize prevention, and then list the warning signs as well as risk and cultural protective factors, and then highlight effective treatments, mental health problems. And I actually wrote down some of my own do's. Be willing to listen when someone wants to talk. Like if someone trusts you enough to want to talk to you about what they're going through, I feel like be willing is a good, and then to be available. If so, like for example, if someone were to come up to me and saying, oh, I really need to talk to you, it's really important, I want to be available for them and be there for them because they're going through a hard time. And also to show interest and support, and don't be judgmental, because they're coming to you and trusting you with their stuff that they're going through, and you just want to be there for them and not to be judgmental. And then if you don't have anyone to talk to, like if you're going through a hard time, you can always talk to agencies and professionals. And then like what was stated on the sticky notes, the 988, that's a good one too. So yeah.
Thank you so much. These are some examples of safe messaging. So we're so grateful to have so many resources out there. And in the chat, if you'd like to share some, if your tribe is currently doing a campaign, or if you know of some previous ones, these are the most recent with 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. And I love that it includes some Indigenous people, and you can kind of see that these messages align with what Maisie was saying, right? So you can see the messages is like, you matter, there is hope. It always shares the resource, and it's also informational, right? So it says it's free, it's confidential, it's available 24/7. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Maisie?
That was everything.
Okay,
that I had.
perfect. Thank you so much. So next, we're going to move on to don'ts. So these are things that we want to avoid, right? These things can be unsafe or unhelpful. So when we're creating, say we're doing a poster contest, or we're posting on our social media, or We're just offering different campaigns and awareness. These are things that we want to avoid, right? And in the chat, I'd like you guys to offer some feedback. Why do you think that these things, I'll read this list, and why do you think these things might be unhelpful or unsafe, right? So first we have, we don't want to have repeated or prominent or sensational coverage. So if you see one of your local newspapers or any news outlet, it's okay to call them and provide some good feedback, right? We don't want to, you know, if one of our relatives are going through something, there are safe and effective guidelines for how we can post about it and do it in a safe way, right? So secondly is we don't want to share details about suicide method or location. This can be triggering for a number of reasons. So thank you, our birthday girl in the chat. She says, I feel they keep you safe and keep those thoughts away and keep those feelings and negativity away. Thank you so much. That's exactly right. So these are things we want to avoid when we don't want to trigger people when we're trying to spread awareness. There's safe ways to do it, right? So again, we're keeping in mind, we don't want to portray suicide as a common or acceptable response to adversity. Like we don't want to say that, oh, these are things that we don't want to, you know, we don't want to say things like, oh, they were stressed, that's why they passed away, or oh, they were oh, it's just because they were in college, or we don't have all the answers to things, so we don't want to say that, oh, that's just part of being a teen, or that was the answer, right? Again, we don't want to glamorize or romanticize suicide. So sometimes it can be seen even in movies that the youth gets the like, oh, this is a great stance that their life, was taken because of XYZ. Those things can be, again, triggering, and we don't want to glamorize something that a lot of people are struggling with. So it's about a respect for life and honor for those who have gone through this, right? Two more. We want to make sure to stay away from presenting simplistic explanations for suicide. We know that this topic, as in all life, there's so many different things that contribute to it. And if we're just saying, oh, if you're stressed, or oh, they must just be depressed, that can come off as us oversimplifying the issue. So we also always want to go back to the positives of help-seeking behavior, how we can provide resources for people who are struggling. We don't want to offer any judgments, and we don't want to include any personal details that encourage identification with the person who passed, right? So just respecting people, making sure that we can do it in a personal way that is safe and helpful. Okay, next. So yes, always think when you're creating some posters or awareness, always think, are my images inspiring hope? Could somebody be triggered by these? So we definitely want to, set some boundaries on what we're sharing, and make sure sometimes people mean well, but they may use imagery of like, whether it's a gun or medicines, and those can be obviously triggers for people. So we do not write messages linking particular groups with high rates of suicide or mental illness, especially without examples of effective intervention or stories. It may inadvertently increase negative beliefs or discriminatory behaviors towards that group. Another thing is to avoid messages such as breaking the stigma of mental illness. Other language that reiterates to the extent which stigma is the focus, it might reinforce the stigma rather than countering it. So again, these are just some helpful tools. These are beautiful examples on the screen right now. We don't include adjectives like successful or unsuccessful. you know, or failed attempt, those are inappropriate, right? And if you say things like committed, it sounds like it's associated with crimes and can reinforce stigmatization or attitudes about people who die by suicide. So we do want to inspire hope. We do want to include cultural teachings of strength. We do want to remind people that they're not alone. And we do want to show healthy cultural ways to promote wellness. So you can see here, I love that people are sharing in the chat. These are beautiful posters, right? Dear relative reading this, the world is a better place with you. Love your neighbor. And it gives a resource. That is a perfect example from Rhonda Medicine Crow. These ones also are amazing because it shows healthy outlets, right? Whether that's rowing or canoeing, or in this photo, there's boxing. These are all beautiful messages that we can share to help our community. And thank you so much for those who are sharing their stories in the chat. We are here and it helps keep those thoughts away, and we have resources for you. So I'm going to hand it off to Audrey. Would you like to go next? Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Laura and Ashley. So this next slide is to help provide resources, but also it's a chance for you guys to provide your own resources in the chat. So this is tools in my medicine bag. We like to use the term medicine bag whenever we refer to resources that we ourselves carry. And yeah, these are the tools that we found that are the most accessible for people who are dealing with this issue. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, the Substance Abuse and Mental Services Administration is also a site that you people could visit. The Suicide Prevention Resource Center, and then also the Indian Health Services Suicide Prevention and Care Program. So these are just a few resources that are provided to for people who may be dealing with you know, harmful thoughts. Or this could be also resources that you guys could, you know, have in your back pocket if you ever wish to share these resources with anybody in your community or anybody that you know that would benefit from any of these resources. And so, like I said before, this is a chance for any of you guys who are on this Zoom call today to drop any resources that you may know. Maybe your own tribe has, you know, their own crisis lifeline or their own website that they have up on your tribal website. So if there's anything like that that you know of, or even if it's not specifically pertaining to this specific topic, it could be like my tribe every year has bird and singing, you know, at our river, and it's a really nice event to go to. And I feel like something that I look for is I always lean back to my culture whenever I, you know, have difficulties and whenever I'm going through any struggles. That's something that I view as a resource in my own tribal community is everybody there and their willingness to share their culture with everybody. So if you guys have any resources that you would like to share in the chat, now is the time. I see in the chat Rhonda shared a shirt that says "Life is Sacred" on the front by Native Connections, and on the back it reads, "Dear relative reading this, the world is a better place with you in it. Love, Rhonda Medicine Crow." I love that shirt, actually. That's really cool. And that's also another way to kind of spread awareness, but also, you know, let others know that there are people out there that care, and there are people out there that want you here, and they spread the messages in whatever way that they can. So that's really cool to see. All right, so if there are no other resources that you guys would like to share, like I said, these are just the resources that we found readily available to us. And if you guys have any other resources that you think of later on during this presentation, please feel free to drop them in the chat. And this PowerPoint will also be saved. If any of you guys would like to use this PowerPoint, we can also send this over to you guys as well. But without anything else, I will hand this time over to Aurora Martinez for their portion of the presentation.
Thank you so much. Before I start this, I just want to thank the Unity EC for doing great work and doing a great job. You guys are awesome. It's amazing to see our youth stepping up and talking about these tough subjects. Before I get started into my portion, I want us all to take a moment. We're talking about some tough things. Let's grab a drink of water if you have one near you, or go grab a drink to have real quick. And let's take an opportunity also to stretch, whether that's in our seat or we stand up and stretch. Let's just take a moment and stretch ourselves out as we talk through some of these tough conversations. So let's just take a moment and then we'll get into our presentation. So thank you all for taking a moment just to stretch with me or grab a drink of water. As we talk about this, I think it's important for us to all be open about the experiences we had. For me, the name that came to mind when we talked about various names in our community was Justin. And I am on a path into medicine and going through this journey of helping communities with suicide prevention has been a great aspect of my journey into medicine. And I'm excited to share all of the resources that we have as we go into this and some of the different options of resources that we have. So a little bit about the health board first. The Northwest Portland Area Indian Health Board serves the 43 tribes of Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. Although a lot of our resources are open to everybody, so you can always go onto our website. We share resources openly and are always willing to help, and we just help with all kinds of things. But we have a lot of different resources for everybody for all of the tribes, not just Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. Before we get into some of our things, we have a little research that we had created. And when we did this research, it was about how Native youth want to receive information on mental well-being. And so I wanted to highlight this as we talk about messaging into our communities. So they want to see different things on positive thinking, maybe some stress reduction, time management, relaxation, coping, and navigating difficult relationships. And a lot of people had a variety of ways that they like to get this, including social media, school, youth groups, and video counseling. So as we get ready to create our messaging ourselves, so back in our communities, just take some opportunity to keep these in the back of your mind. We also, on the WeRNative page, have a lot of resources, including the Indigila campaign and all different things, as well as the next slide has some information that is a great resource. It's the Ask Your Relative resource. So you can go on and you can get questions answered. It's not just about suicide prevention, but it can be on anything. And there's a lot of videos that are already done as well, where you can go through and find questions that you have that maybe have already been answered. So I always invite you to take a look at the resources on the WeRNative page, and the amazing Stephanie Craig Rushing has put that in the link in our chat, and join us on that page as well to be able to see some of the information. We've talked about 988 a lot of times. A little bit about 988 is that they've answered over 10 million calls since it became, and there's less than 3% of the calls that result in an emergency dispatch, meaning that you can feel safe when you call. It's great for reducing emotional distress and some of the suicidality. It's a center that diverts calls from law enforcement and emergency services. And then I want to highlight too that if you're in Washington state or you have a Washington area code, you actually have the choice of being able to be connected to another Native individual. who would be able to connect you with or be able to talk with you. And then there's also the crisis text line, and that's the native to 741-741. And both of these resources, they're free 24/7 support. And we have this card specifically, with the "We Need You Here" hashtag on our website as something that you can print off and distribute in your community as well. Here are just a couple of text messaging campaigns that we have at the board. There's some for the LGBTQ2S spirit community, the WeRNative text line if you want resources on sex or building resilience in tough times. I invite you to, check out our website or some of our resources to see which kind of text messaging campaigns work for you if you wanted to join any. But on this page, I'm going to take the opportunity to ask each of you to grab your phone. And we're going to open it up. And if you're feeling comfortable, if you're in college, I want you to text the college text line, which is college, the word college, to 65664. And if you're not in college, then I invite you to check the caring message, which is caring, to 65664. I also want you to keep in the back of your mind, if you have someone that's a veteran in your community or in your life, that we have a veterans text line as well. And I invite you to sign up for these messagings because you yourself may be going through a tough time and you want to get these messages. But also, I find that it's great for us to be able to refer others to a text messaging campaign or to a resource when we ourselves have used that resource. So by signing up for one of these two messaging campaigns, you're allowing yourself to understand what you're inviting someone else into and your resources. I know that we have some adults on as well. We have two resources for caring adults where you can text the Empower or Mind for Health to get resources for your youth and how to be a caring adult in your youth's life when it comes to suicide prevention. And here's just a couple more campaigns that I wanted to highlight. These ones are specifically for anybody who's interested in public health or a health background that may be wanting to get some resources on getting into that journey of medicine or STEM. We've talked about, I saw that someone had mentioned when we did the initial little whiteboard about the high risk for LGBTQ plus communities and veterans. And if you or someone you know in your life is a part of the LGBTQ plus community, we have some great resources from Past Remembered Project, but also the Trevor Project is amazing in their resources. And I've put in a little We Need You Here campaign that talks about how to honor our various people and respect our LGBTQ2S community. Here is some great resources from Healthy Native Youth and WeRNative that provide all of the different text messaging campaigns, but then also some other lifelines as well, depending upon what you're going through or what resources you or your friend might need. So there's text messaging campaigns, sexual assaults, mental health, all kinds of things that you can use as resources to have in your medicine toolkit and allow you to have those connections. I wanted to take a moment also, and we're going to all take a deep breath. Someone had asked, how do you ask about suicide? And this resource is a great one to kind of work you through asking about suicide. So you take a breath. We open our medicine toolkits and we know the resources that we have, the crisis text line, the Trevor Project, 988. We can create a safe space for ourselves, for those that we're talking with, whether that's finding somewhere private or comfortable. Maybe it's face-to-face, or maybe they don't want to be face-to-face with you right now. Maybe turning off your cell phone, all of those resources. Sometimes it's starting with, I've noticed that you're giving your items away. I've noticed that your mood has changed. I noticed that you don't want to go do things anymore. And that you care for them. I've noticed that you're giving items away and I care about you. And we want to ask open-ended questions. I'd like to understand more about what you're going through. Could you tell me more? It seems like you're going through a tough time. Can you tell me more? And we have to remember to not be afraid to ask the question. It seems like you've been going through a tough time. I notice that you've been giving things away. Sometimes when people are feeling this way, they think about suicide. Are you thinking about suicide? And when it comes to that, it's important to just ask the question. We don't want to pass with judgment, though. We don't want to say, you wouldn't really be thinking about suicide, are you? We want to ask and listen and show that we're being attentive. We don't want to try and problem solve or give advice. You could say, I know that's been hard. I understand, or ask questions. And finally, we want to make sure that we connect our friends with our resources and follow up with them. We can do all kinds of resources, but that's what we have our medicine toolkit for. And that's what we have our communities for. So I invite you to use this as we move forward if you feel like you need to ask about suicide. And remember, your mental health is important as well. And with that, we can also create a safety plan. This is a safety plan for yourself, but also it could be helping someone else create a safety plan. So you can list what your warning signs are. Maybe you've noticed things where I start to get this thought, and that's my warning sign. Or I feel like I want to start giving items away, and that could be your warning sign. How you can cope. What are some of your coping strategies? What are the things that make you feel good? Like we listed when we first joined the meeting. What are some of those things that make you happy? For me, that's spending time with my husband and my dogs. That's playing video games, being at home. Listing some of those resources, people that you can reach out for distraction, and people that you can reach out for help. And then in the event of a crisis, having that 988 number, an emergency contact, maybe the text 741 to 741 number for texting native. And then steps that you can take to make your environment safer. So all of these things on a safety plan, they're great to sit down and do if you're talking with a friend. It can make them feel a little more connected, but it's also a really important thing for you to do yourself so that you are aware of the safety plan that you can take when you're having any kind of feelings as well. And so I want to thank you all for allowing me to be here, sharing these resources with you, and being able to answer any additional questions you may have. You can always put them in the chat or message me in the chat, and I can try to connect you. But I want you all to know that we're a community. Unity is a community that can help you. We at the health board can help you. And we are always willing to work together to be a community that can assist. And we want to be there to help you talk with others, but also be safe yourself. So thank you for this opportunity, and I will hand it over to our next speaker.
Thank you so much, Aurora. We're so grateful to you and your entire team. WeRNative and so many Unity youth have partnered with WeRNative over the years. I see Jada and Katie, and so many of you have been representatives, and we just thank you for all that you do for Indian country. Up next, the resources in the chat are amazing. Please keep them coming. Anything you share in the chat with your permission, we will share on Unity's page with our other youth. It inspires them. We're so grateful for the Native Wellness Institute. They are the aunties and uncles we've always wanted or wished to be one day. And I just thank you, Lavina, for sharing with us. So I'm going to hand it off to our amazing Lavina.
Thank you. And that was a great presentation. Everybody has done such a good job. I'm so proud of everybody. And yes, this is, even though Lauren Ashley's calling me an auntie, I'm also a yaya and a can-can, which is a grandparent. I have 7 grandkids, so I'm getting up there in my age, but I still feel young and I still feel vibrant, and I'm still excited to be here. I'm really looking forward to being able to share with everybody about some of the things that you can do for your self-care. And so as you look at this slide, I just want you to think about, you know, how do you feel today? Mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Maybe do a check-in in the chat, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, and 10 is like, I'm ready, I'm excited, I'm so happy to be here. And a 5 is like, well, I'm feeling okay. I think somebody was in Hawaii and it was super early there, so wherever you're feeling in your emotions today, why don't you put that in the chat, and let's talk about what are some things that we can do for our own self-care, because many times we are, we're always trying to help people, or we're always busy with this and that and everything, but what are we doing to take care of ourselves? And so you can even just print off this the worksheet, or just make a circle and just check in every day with yourself spiritually. Where am I at? Did I pray today? Did I sing a song? What did I do? Did I light my smudge? All of us from all of our different tribes, we have different ways that we pray, different ways that we ask to cleanse our minds and our hearts and our spirits. And smudging, with sage, there's all kinds of different sages that we use. Some of our tribes use corn pollen. Some of our tribes have medicines like husk or bear root. Some of our tribes use tobacco, right? We bring our tobacco and we give an offering of tobacco. So whatever your medicine is, from your tribe, figure out what that is, and you can use that medicine. You can burn that medicine, and you can pray, and you can sing. And as everybody was talking, as we were all gathered, I lit my smudge, and I was smudging, and I was asking that this smudge would clear your heart and your mind and your spirit. And so when we think about, in our lives and in our culture, in our traditions, and we think about those places of fire, burning candles and lighting smudge, or maybe you go to a sweat lodge, or you go into a steam bath if you don't have access to a sweat lodge, or you go into a sauna, or maybe you just have a fireplace and you sit by the fire, and you can write about how you're feeling, write your thoughts down, and you can read it, and you can burn it. And that's a part of letting go. That's a part of healing. And so then, also you can just go outside. You can take off your shoes and socks, and you can stand on the earth, and you can do a grounding, and you can just ask Mother Earth to help you to lighten your load. You can go out and take a walk, or go hiking. You can go out and gather traditional foods and traditional medicines. And even just the act of doing that is healing. You can, like, how many of you did a garden this year? Like, maybe you just go out and put your hands in the dirt and you have a garden, or you plant flowers. I remember the first time I planted flowers, every time one of them bloomed, I felt like I was having a baby. So whatever that is, right? You just, planting and growing things is life. It's another part of life. And so through the air, in going outside and just breathing in fresh air, are doing breathing exercises, which is like, so how many of you, whenever, like, if you don't follow Thosh on social media, Thosh Collins, he does amazing exercises, but part of that is breathing, is just like taking a deep breath. So everybody together, let's just take a deep breath in, hold it, and let it go. Right? Breathing is a powerful tool that doesn't cost any money, right? Sometimes we just have to stop and take deep breaths and meditate, right? So another thing that, like as we look at this and as we talk about water, water is a very powerful tool that we use in different ways. And so when you think about water and you think about the power of water, one of the things that I wanted to share with you guys is the study of water, which is, I don't know how many of you have seen Dr. Emoto, but when you think about the words that we use, when you think about that we use the word, when we say I love you, when we say thank you, limlemsh, when we use those words, that's what that word looks like when you look at it under a microscope. So if you say those words, then it looks like a snowflake. It's so beautiful. And Dr. Emoto did this study. So when he said the word, I wrote the word on the water that said thank you, it made this beautiful crystal, a beautiful snowflake. When he put the word eternal, which is, forever and ever. And, many of our people who pass on, it's that eternity, right? When we think of the word peace, this is what it looks like. So everybody take your water, grab your water. I know, we took a little break to get water, but when you take your water and you say to your water, positive words, if you sing a song, if you play a song and you put your water there, it makes a positive impact. Okay, so that's, I kind of wanted everybody to think about that. And as you are grabbing your water, and I just want to show you this because I think it's important, but when you have bad thoughts or negative thoughts, or if you say bad words, those words also impact the water. And so when you think about all the negative words, those words are really powerful, right? So you can see it even in the context of love, when you do nothing to the rice, and when you say the words hate, the hate has mold on it. So how you love yourself is so important, that it's so important to say positive words. So I want everybody to take our water. I want you to hold your water, and I want you to say and say it after me. I love you. You're beautiful. You're amazing. You're awesome. You're smart. You're intelligent. You're strong. You're healthy. Say those positive words, and then everybody take a drink. And then as I close my session, I am going to sing over your water. So as you hold your water, I'm going to sing a song for you, and I'm going to ask that you be blessed, that you be loved, that your way will be cleared for you. Oh, 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 hey, oh, hey, oh, 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 hey, oh, hey. Limlams kukuts katiai, and chaspaus telechast. I love you. You're beautiful. You're amazing. You're strong. And my thoughts and prayers will be with each and every one of you. Limlams.
We raise our hands to you, Lavina. Thank you so much. I love what you Diane put in the chat. I need some Lavina love today. Thank you so much. So we again, there's amazing resources online, and Lavina shared these amazing resources with us. I also shared in the chat a great link. WeRNative put out an article on indigenizing your self-care. I also shared some amazing Instagram posts from Native Wellness that really just talks about traditional healing practices. So we're so grateful. And so again, we appreciate you all being here. We're gonna go over a couple more things before we close. But all in all, this is the goals. I don't know if you guys have seen this episode or not, but it's amazing that there are lots of amazing work out there that is encouraging intergenerational sharing and togetherness, and helping us embrace our relatives if they're pulling away, just to let them know that they're loved, that they're seen, they're heard, they're accepted, supported, and how important it is. Thank you, Lavina, for encouraging us to take time to rest and heal ourselves before we go into this important prevention work. So I'm going to hand it over next to Audrey. She has been working so hard to really launch this poster contest. So it's a way that we all can get involved this month. So Audrey?
Yes, so Unity had the idea of having a poster contest pertaining to suicide prevention this month. It's something that we have done in the past with the I Will Live initiative, and we would just like to keep, the message of the I Will Live initiative, and also safe messaging, helpful messages out there just for everybody to have. And, we also really, really love collaborating with our youth around the nation. As you know, we do have youth that create most of our logos that we use for our national conferences. So we want to partner with our youth again to help get their safety messages, their helpful words, their positive affirmations out there to all of the other youth who may be struggling during this time. So yes, the launch date was officially September 1st because September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And so that day we put out a Unity News video. I'm not sure how many of you saw it, but it is posted on our website and also our YouTube page. And I think our social medias as well. If you guys would like to view that video, it just kind of goes over some of the steps into how to enter in the contest, and yeah, just a little bit about the poster contest. Today is September 7th, where we're hosting our suicide prevention webinar in partnership with WeRNative and Native Wellness. So once again, we want to thank our partners, WeRNative and Native Wellness, all of those who came to join us, and just to share some helpful resources and to be there as resources themselves to any Native youth who wishes to reach out to you guys. We very, very much appreciate you hopping on this webinar with us. And going into the actual poster contest, the Unity poster contest the winners will be announced September 14th, because Suicide Prevention Week is September 10th through the 16th, I believe, which is next week. So yeah, we will be sharing any of the submissions that we do get on our social media outlets, just because we do appreciate all of the work that it takes for, anyone who wishes to enter our contest to share their positive messaging with everybody. We don't want to leave anyone out, so we would like to share all of the poster contest submissions to our social media. And, you guys could be able to use it as well if you find one that you like, that you want to put up in your school or in your tribal offices or anywhere that you think would benefit from any of these posters. We want to do that for you guys as well. And yeah, this is just the timeline of the whole poster contest. Like I said, we will be announcing our contest winners September 14th. And as I mentioned in the past, one of our former initiatives that the executive committee came up with was the I Will Live initiative. And I believe, from what I can recall, I believe this initiative started up in 2015 is when I first heard about the I Will Live initiative that that executive committee came up with. And yeah, it's just a hashtag I will live, trying to promote suicide prevention awareness and just to share stories was the main baseline. Because when we share our stories, when we break down our walls and kind of get really intimate with each other, that's when we can, have these difficult conversations and it'll make it flow easier. So that was kind of the whole idea behind the I Will Live initiative, is just to share your stories, to share positive messages, and to be a reminder that you are not alone, and the youth who may be struggling, or anyone actually who may be struggling with suicide, can turn to this initiative and know that there are people out there who care and that their lives do matter. So yes, one of the first I Will Live initiatives was a poster submissions. We're bringing that back around again this year. Another thing that we did is photo submissions, where youth could print out the hashtag I Will Live, post it on social media, and just kind of tell their story or give their reasons of what I Will Live means to them. And then we also try to have it around every year, the hashtag, and promote positive messages throughout the year, just to be a reminder, because this is an issue that is relevant, all the time. It's not just during Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, it's all year round. So we would like to promote this initiative as much as we can. And I believe when I was on the executive committee, or the year before I was on the executive committee, the past executive committee passed this initiative again, just to re-up it and bring awareness back to the situation. And then it kind of overflowed into the next executive committee, which myself served on, and also our now Mr. Co-President served on. He was the secretary during that time. But it was an initiative that we passed during our time. And so I would like to hand this time over to Mr. President Arakawa so that he can explain more about what it took to pass this initiative. So I'll hand it over to you now.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you to everyone that spoke before me and spreading these important messages of hope. And again, thank you to everyone that's here on this webinar to really bring light to what I call the suicide epidemic that we face in Indian country. Back during, it was October 13th, 2021, we passed the I Will Live initiative through the National Congress of American Indians convention. It was their annual convention at that time. And we decided as an executive committee to bring this resolution through the NCAI process. For those of you that don't know about NCAI, the National Congress of American Indians represents all tribes in the United States on a policy and advocacy platform. So we realized it was critical to get support from tribal leaders, because all of Indian country comes together at NCAI, all of our tribal elected officials, and we spread the awareness at NCAI to our federal counterparts. We were able to go through the resolution process at NCAI to get the initiative passed. And through that process, the I Will Live initiative was then titled I'm gonna find them. So it's a support for a national Native youth suicide prevention initiative. So this went through the health committee as well as the human resource committee to make sure that everything was in conformance with the resolution process at NCAI. So there was Audrey, Rory Wheeler, Steve Harvey, and I that attended those proceedings to make sure everything was in conformance, to make sure our resolution could go through that process. It was a bit of a timely process, but an important process to make sure that we could get the initiative through NCAI. And we received overwhelming support from those committees and the tribal leaders that sat on those committees. And then the resolution was brought forward to the General Assembly at NCAI. And during that time, everything was virtual. We were still dealing with the pandemic and dealing with shutdown for the most part. And we were able to get unanimous support from the General Assembly, the membership of the National Congress of American Indians, for our initiative. So now that it's been 2 years now, almost 2 years since it's passed. So this has become policy for NCAI for them to advocate on when they go to speak with our federal counterparts in Congress and the executive level. So I'm really grateful for the work that we did to make sure that this happened. And we got huge backing from tribal leaders across Indian country to make sure that the messages of hope not only get spread by unity, but our partners at NCAI. So we are actually partnering with NCAI on many fronts to help spread messages of awareness and of hope on an array of topics as we work together and we forge that courageous future. And so I really, am appreciative that we got this through. But that's just a little bit of background of the steps that we took at that time to get support from our tribal leaders, because the suicide rate among our Native youth is at an alarming rate at times, and we really have to hold our youth up. And I feel this is one of the best forums that we can do that. Even though not all of our Native youth can be on this call, we can all work together to spread those messages of hope and remind our youth that, like it says in this graphic, that you matter, you are loved, and everything will be okay. And one thing I always say is that you belong here. Our ancestors made many sacrifices for us to be here today. But that concludes some of my remarks for this webinar. And I'm thankful to every single one here. So Hotningson, thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. And yeah, that's just some background about this initiative in particular. And these are just, like I said, examples of campaigns that we have done in the past. So if any of you guys have any ideas, would like to take any ideas from these past campaigns, feel free to do so within your own poster contest submission. And here is just some other posters to use as examples of some positive messaging. Yeah, ask, listen, get support. If a friend or relative is thinking about suicide, you can help. And then it provides the resource, nativeandstrong.org. We all make us strong. Suicide warning signs in adults, behavior changes. This gives some helpful resources into what to look for if you're worried about somebody who may be thinking about suicide. And then also it provides the resource. And then crisis support for IHS community members. Hope and action can restore balance and save lives. Like I said before, positive messaging, and it provides the resource. So that's kind of just the baseline of what we would like everybody to include in their poster. It can be as creative and whatever you want, but we would like to ask you to provide some sort of resource on your poster just so that it is helpful information and also positive messaging, affirming words and words of encouragement as well, just so that it is nice to look at, and it also provides good resources for anybody who may be looking for those resources. And we do have prizes for our poster contest winners. Like I said, the poster contest winners will be announced September 14th. And there are different tiers of prizes that we have. So if you're a youth council or if you know of a youth council that would like to collaborate together into making one poster that they would like to submit together, we do have group submissions and they all will, get prizes for that. So our first group submission grand prize will be 3 complimentary registrations to either the 2024 Media Conference or the 2024 National Unity Conference. And then another group submission, second prize, will win 2 complimentary registrations. And then we have our individual submission prizes. The grand prize for our individual submissions will be 1 complimentary registration to the Media or National Unity Conference. And then we also have additional prizes, which include $100 gift cards. I believe we have 3 of those that we are able to gift out to the individual submissions. Poster contest winners. But yes, if you or your group ends up winning one of the registrations as a prize, the registrations must be used for either the 2024 Media Conference or the 2024 National Unity Conference. Yes, so those registrations will be good for this next year's round of conferences. And I believe that is all that I have on the poster contest. Like I said before, if you guys have any other questions, this presentation and this webinar is being recorded and posted later. If you have any more specific questions about the poster contest, specifically, we do have our YouTube video that we posted earlier this month. And I believe that video is also going to be on our social media platforms as well. Okay, sorry. Okay, I believe we're going on to the next section. I'll pass the time over to Seneca Jackson now.
Okay, I would just like to thank all of you for being on our webinar today. And right now we're just going to do what we learned at like how we did in the beginning of what we know, what I wonder, and what I learned. And so we're going to be focusing on like the what we learned activity just from all of our wonderful presenters that were able to be with us today and provide the resources for us. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. And I'll go ahead and read them off as they come. The first one is EC Youth are awesome. There are so many resources available, especially within your own community. You know, don't be afraid to ask people within your community what resources are available. I know personally from my past youth council that we were able to ask our own behavioral health services what resources they provide, not only for youth, but for the adults within our community. Somebody said, I learned that there are more resources geared towards Native youth, and this is awesome. Unity Youth did a great job. Grateful for those who are hosting events and spreading awareness. It is a very important thing to continue to spread awareness about suicide. Like I said when I was introducing myself, this is a very touchy topic, but I feel like we should be, as Native peoples, I feel like we should feel that it is a norm to talk about this topic in regards to being able to prevent this, as it is a prevalent thing within our communities. It's very unfortunate, but with webinars and events such as this, I feel like it gives more information and resources for those youth or adults struggling with mental health. Again, great resources. In the more what I learned, thankful to those who have loved or who have lost loved ones and are helping spread awareness. I know for a few who are participating in this webinar, it is a difficult time for them with this such being so close to home, losing a loved one, a friend, anyone in your life. And we thank you and are so honored for you to be on this webinar with us. Thankful for 3 amazing Native organizations. Great resources again, being able to respectfully listen to someone who is going through a tough time. And I feel like what I learned is that there's just so many amazing resources for not only myself, but even the text chain that was provided for the adults and veterans within our community. I felt that those are such vital and easy to access resources. I did text the college one just because college can be stressful during times. But yeah, I feel like, I mean, not only props to Unity Youth and all of our presenters, but props to all of you for being able to join our webinar or even watch this recording. You know, this is, I'm going to continue to say over and over that this is a touchy topic, but you know, us as Native peoples, we tend to choose to struggle in silence, which isn't a healthy thing. But with events like this, I feel like it opens a safe space for us to be able to talk about this. You are here to learn, and that is amazing. Yes, it is such an amazing thing to not only get those resources for yourself, but be able to have those resources in your toolbox for other people who may need them. You are meant to be here. The work I do is for my sister, and that resources are increasing. Yes, there are many more resources available. All right. I see a few more people trying to add sticky notes. If you are, go ahead and continue to do that. Yeah. Again, in the chat, there are many resources, links, and everything, especially WeRNative. Their website is amazing. Go take a look at that. I was able to browse through that while on this webinar, and all the resources they have provided on there are very obviously resourceful on this topic. And I believe that's all for our closing what I learned review. And I just wanted to thank all of you for attending this event. It's very important that we keep an open discussion about suicide prevention. So I'll go ahead and hand it back over.
Thank you so much. I want to acknowledge our relative Ferdina in the chat and her amazing sister that we carry with her. And we're so grateful for you and her work and all those that we are honoring. Again, please go into your phone right now and put in the phone number, and it could be for the name help. Just put the number 988 so it saves it in your contacts in case you ever run across anybody who may need help. Another great resource, as we mentioned before, texting Native to 741-741. We're so grateful for each of you and the light and the love that you're going to spread across Indian country. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts and thank you for listening. These resources will be available and emailed to those who registered today. You can always find more information at WeRNative.org, the Native Wellness Institute, or by going to www.unityinc.org for more information. And we hope that we will see your posts. Make sure to include the 3 hashtags, I will live, you matter, and we need you here anytime you're sharing your love with Indian country. Thank you again and have a wonderful day.